Understanding privacy-related questions on Stack Overflow.
Hi, my name is Mohammad Tahaei. I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Edinburgh. I'll be talking about our paper, Understanding Privacy-Related Questions on Stack Overflow. This project has been done in collaboration with my supervisor, Vaniea, and my fellow PhD candidate, Naomi Saphra.
So why privacy? Why Stack Overflow? And why this research? The story starts with software developers, who are the main workforce of our digital society. While designing and coding software, they make decisions that can impact not just the software, but also the people who use the software. And of course, some of those decisions will impact security and privacy of the users. Here, we are interested in the privacy aspects of the software. While it would be wonderful if all software respected users' privacy, that's not always the case. For example, right now, there are discussions about the use of an app which can trace people for COVID-19 reasons. So as long as we use software in our daily routines, privacy is an issue that we need to talk about. Since not all developers have access to security and privacy experts, and even some of them rely on privacy unfriendly methods such as ad networks, we were keen to explore the intersection of privacy and software developers. Even though there is research about security practices of software developers, but there is little known about their privacy practices. I would like to start by defining privacy, just to get us all on the same page. What is privacy? As Daniel Solove puts it, privacy is a complicated concept to be boiled down into one sentence. Hence, he proposes four activities that are harmful to privacy. These activities are information collection, information processing, information dissemination, and invasion. When privacy enters engineering world, it's defined as a set of requirements. When it comes to software engineering, there are several frameworks to make privacy tangible in the software development process, such as privacy by design, which talks about concepts like minimization of data collection or informing the users about data processing activities. However, privacy by design is also not fully adopted by developers. Developers see privacy as a security-related issue or as someone else's job. While prior work uses interviews to look at the use of privacy by design for developers, we decided to expand the literature by doing a bottom-up artifact analysis. We studied Stack Overflow because Stack Overflow is one of the largest Q&A platforms for software developers. Developers ask questions and learn from Stack Overflow, or even copy code from this platform and paste it directly to their projects. Several papers show the value and importance of this platform in other software development areas, such as security and data management. Therefore, we decided to focus on this platform. Our research questions pinpoint two areas. One, what topics do Stack Overflow users associate with the word privacy? Here, we look at how Stack Overflow users define privacy. Instead of a top-down approach and trying to fit Stack Overflow questions into a framework. And the second question is, what or who is pushing Stack Overflow users to engage with privacy-related topics? The idea here is to look at what causes them to ask a privacy-related question on Stack Overflow. For example, while they are programming because of a compiler error, they turn to Stack Overflow to understand and find a solution for that error. We were keen to explore such causes for privacy-related questions. To answer our research questions, we use two methods. First, we use topic modeling, which is an automated way of finding topics in text. And second, we use a qualitative approach to dig more into the data. In this presentation, I only focus on the qualitative part because of timing issues. Please refer to the paper for the topic modeling section and to find out more about how these two methods compare with one another. All right, how did we collect the data? We collected all questions that had the word privacy either in their tags or in their titles. In the graph on the right, SO all represents all questions on a Stack Overflow with over 18 million questions. SO privacy shows all privacy-related questions with 1,733 questions. And SO privacy rand is a random subset of all privacy-related questions with 315 questions. We use SO privacy in our topic modeling section and SO privacy rand in our qualitative section. Here is an overview of all privacy-related questions. In the graph on the left side, you can see the increase in the number of privacy questions over the past decade. And on the right side, you can see which words are commonly used as tags by Stack Overflow users. Facebook has been used a lot, not to our surprise. Mobile operating systems such as Android and iOS are also visible. Now let's dive deeper into the data with qualitative analysis. For the rest of the talk, I will focus on the 315 questions we randomly sampled from all privacy-related questions. We further excluded 21 questions because they were about public and private variables or were too vague to understand. The final set includes 294 questions. In the qualitative analysis, we look at 4 elements in each question. Question type, which is based on the prior work and existing taxonomies such as how do I fix this or what does this error mean? Driver, which looks at what pushes the users to ask a question, for example, a compiler error or a client requirement or a Facebook warning. Accepted answers and privacy aspect of the question. Just a quick note that some questions might have various angles, but we only focus on the privacy angles here. For the question types, we rely on the prior work on Stack Overflow. As you can see, many questions, not to our surprise, are around how. For example, this user is trying to remove their personal email from Git logs and is asking how to do it. Interestingly, many people are asking questions that are abstract or conceptual. This may signal that users are asking questions about privacy-related topics in the earliest stages of software development, and not necessarily in the implementation phases. For example, this user is trying to understand the privacy-related consequences of using CDN services. For the other two, error type represents an explicit error in the question, and unexpected category represents questions when users expected some behavior from the system but encountered something else. Drivers are one of the fascinating results of our work. They show that what or who makes users to turn to Stack Overflow for asking questions. Users come to Stack Overflow to ask questions because of personal concerns. For example, thinking about how to minimize data collection. Here you can see a user who is looking for suggestions for designing a database with multiple access levels. The other even more interesting driver is platforms such as Facebook, Google, or iOS. Even though in terms of number, they stand second, but it shows their power and authority over privacy. If they define a resource as sensitive or introduce a new privacy-related requirement, developers have to follow those because they want their app published. For example, this user has encountered a privacy policy issue while submitting an app to App Store and is trying to find a solution for their problem. The third player here is laws and regulations, such as GDPR, which didn't appear strongly in our dataset, potentially because of the technical nature of Stack Overflow. 130 of our random sample questions have an accepted answer, meaning that the asker marked them as accepted. Interestingly, a lot of questions are being answered by Stack Overflow users without any links to other resources, which means The community is building knowledge around privacy-related topics on Stack Overflow. This is similar to what prior research shows about Android documentation. Stack Overflow covers a major part of Android documentation in a Q&A format, which is easier for developers to digest. We thematically analyzed the questions for their privacy aspects. You can see the 8 emerging themes in this table. For example, access control includes 119 questions with over 100,000 views. Some questions in this theme are how to set privacy permissions for various social networks, or how to design a database that has multiple access levels. For example, this user is asking about how to set a privacy-related field in Vimeo's API. Privacy policies cover topics about how to write and add privacy policies. For example, this user is trying to publish their app on Facebook, but is not able to because a privacy policy is required from Facebook. Developers with privacy concerns represent a group that is concerned with privacy or is trying to find a way to follow privacy by design practices. For example, in this question, the user is asking about how they can trust the library provided by Facebook. On the other hand, we observe developers who are going the opposite way and are asking questions that are privacy unfriendly, such as how can I collect more data about the user? So, what are some implications of our work? First, platforms such as Apple and Google are some of the main drivers of privacy. They decide which apps can be published and which cannot. They can add or remove to what is considered as private and sensitive. Any changes in these platforms could have a huge impact on privacy. You can see both Apple and Google require developers to follow their privacy requirements. Privacy policies are challenging for developers. Some of the potential causes of this could be not knowing why privacy policies are necessary, or not knowing what language they should use, or even if they do know, the process of adding one is complicated and makes the whole procedure difficult. And here is the famous saying in the community: developers need support. In particular for privacy, they need tools that can identify third-party libraries with privacy leaks, tools that can walk them through privacy policy creation, tools that can automatically detect and adapt to updates, and better integrate in their natural workflows, such as integration in IDEs. In summary, our work explores challenges and confusions that Stack Overflow users have around privacy-related topics. We found that platforms such as Apple and Google are some of the main drivers of privacy. We further highlighted several privacy-related areas that developers need support, such as privacy policy creation tasks and integration of privacy checks into code development processes. Thank you very much for listening.